Hello and welcome to this video. In this video I will show you a couple of trails in the Solingen area. A friend of mine asked me if I wanted to join him to scout out this area. We both never been here, so it was all brand new for us and we had no idea what to expect. We did get a GPX file of someone else who's been here, so we did know where to look for the trails. As a Dutch enduro rider, it's always a little bit of a risk to go to a new area because you never know exactly what you're gonna get, and it's quite a bit of a travel. In this case it was 2 hours to get here. So if the trails are terrible, then it's really a big waste of time. But fortunately this was a really great area with really great trails. The first trail we did, we spotted on our first climb. It started out really mellow with some flowy curves and some small jumps. But since we didn't know the trail, we missed all the jumps. After that, the trail got pretty technical with lots of loose rocks and roots. So by that time we were really warmed up. Also, we are already kind of warmed up because of the climb. And in the last part you have a wall ride, but again, since we didn't know the trail, we didn't take the wall ride as high as we could. But by now we had a really nice trail and we were warmed up for the rest of the day. As someone who watches a lot of YouTube videos all day, I always wanted to know how it is to make my own videos. So about a month ago I bought a GoPro camera and started filming some mountain bike rides. I first watched a lot of tutorials on how to make a nice video, and then I started to make some small ones of just a feature or a small trail or something like that and posted them on Facebook. And now I'm trying to make some bigger ones for YouTube. So I'm curious how far I can bring this channel. If you're curious as well and you think it's interesting, just subscribe so you can see the next video. I'm trying to keep up with a schedule of 1 video a week for now. I don't have a really good idea on what kind of videos, just about mountain biking, but that's it. So if you have any ideas or tips or whatever, then just leave them in the comments and I can see what I can do with it.
Of een e-bike.
So far I think it's really fun to get through the footage and make a nice video out of it, edit it in a way it's nice, looks good and works. The only part that's really hard for me right now is to do a voiceover, but for this video I really feel it needs a voiceover to make it work. Otherwise it's only funny if interesting to watch if you're ridden there yourself or you're about to going to ride here.
Holy shit.
Also the part that I'm doing this in English makes it even harder. But since this is a ride in Germany, I figure maybe some Germans might want to look for it, and then it's better to have it in English than in Dutch. So hopefully I will get better at the voiceover part and maybe even do some vlogging in the end at some point. But for now I just have to apologize for the poor quality of the voiceover, and it just has to do for this one. I hope you don't mind it. So after our first warm-up run, we ran into some German riders who were kind enough to let us tag along. So the first 2 routes they took us on were this one and the one you watched before this. They were both kind of similar in style and in skill level. They start off really mellow and then they get steeper, a boat quite loamy, so as someone who's really used to loam, it's a bit easier. These didn't have that many loose rocks or really steep roots. Although it was a little bit wet at some parts, so it could have been a bit slippery, but not too much. As I said, they were both kind of similar to my ID in difficulty, although the previous one was rated higher than this one. Maybe it was because at some part the trail splits and then you could go a really steep one or a not so steep way around it. Also, as you can see, I'm pretty bad at making turns to the right.
Bochten naar rechts.
It's really something I should train more. Should just focus on looking through the corner and then make it. But that's something for another video sometime. Here we are riding 3 short trails in a row. These follow up each other nicely, so you can ride them as one long trail, but they are registered as separate trails. The first one is really easy, it's a green one, and then the second and third are black, so they are a bit harder. The bike I'm riding on is a Specialized Kenevo. It's an e-bike with 180 millimeters of travel front and rear. I really love this bike. It just makes it a bit easier to get up the mountain. Also, it makes it possible to get a lot of suspension, really wide tires, and still pedal it up. And of course, in the downhill you got a lot of suspension, so it rides really nice. Also, due to the weight, it rides really planted. The reason that I bought an e-bike was just to have more fun. So now I can do more runs in the same time. Or I can just do more runs at all, because it's less tiring. Don't get me wrong, at the end of the day you're still tired, but you're just not that exhausted. Also, an e-bike just gives you extra stamina, but no extra skills. So you still need the skills to get it down. Even in the steeper parts it might be a bit harder because of the weight. Although in the not so steep parts it just makes it more fun, because you can make more speed easily because of the weight. Also, it's something you have to get used to the weight, because yeah, it really rides differently. But once you get used to it and know how you can use it in your advantage, it makes the riding really fun. Here we just had a little bit of a tricky part. The most tricky about it was the branch of the tree that was running overhead. So the first time I kind of got distracted by it and I had the dab. So I did a little edit in the video, so it looks like I did it in one go. Now we go to the last part of this trail, which is really steep. As you can see here, I'm really trying to go as slow as possible, and still I make a lot of speed. Even though on the GoPro it always looks a little bit less steep, but still.
Je had hem wel.
Ja.
Lekker man.
By now our German friends had to go, so it was just the two of us again. But I do want to say a big thank you to them for showing us the nice trails. It saved us a lot of time and effort if we had to find them ourselves. The last trail we rode was a really fast and flowy one, although just like every other trail in this area seems to do, This one also ended up with lots of loose rocks and loose dirt and pretty steep. In the end of the day, we did about 8 downhill runs, I guess, and the 5 different ones you have seen in this video. We did the runs are about 100 to 150 meters of height each, so in the end we did 1000 meters of climbing and descending. There are a lot of trails here we didn't do because we just didn't have the time and the energy for it. So we definitely have a good reason to come back. I could also recommend this area to everyone who's not afraid of doing some really steep riding.
Ja.
So now we're coming to the end of the video. So I really want to thank you for watching. And if you're hearing this, that means my voiceover wasn't that bad and you haven't muted it. So thank you very much. If you really liked it, there's a thumbs up button below the video to express that. And I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Bye.